Hey, my name is Solly. I'm on the red carpet for the premiere of America Divided for EUR Web.
Yeah, we don't allow minors to make a lot of decisions, but we allow them to waive rights that they can't possibly comprehend.
Right. They can't sign a contract, they couldn't buy a car, but they can waive a right and talk about a crime that could put them in prison for the rest of their life.
Yeah.
What first came to your mind when you put this thing together?
Well, we started out by focusing on economic inequality, income inequality, wealth inequality. But, you know, we knew that the country's more unequal now than it's been since just before the Great Depression, since the Gilded Age. And we all know how that turned out. So that's the way we started, but it didn't take very long before we also realized that connected deeply with the issue of economic inequality is race and gender. You know, so we really address all those things in this series as a whole. And each story, we have 8 different stories, and each story tackles a different aspect of inequality in a different part of the country with a different celebrity correspondent.
I'm a senior producer on a segment around school to prison pipeline, and I'm also the correspondent. We traveled down to St. Petersburg, Florida, the Pinellas County area, looked at the incredible rates of segregation in 5 schools in particular, where they stopped busing, deliberately segregated a community, underfunded, under-resourced. There's apparently, we have issues of where the funds were allocated, and not only that, you have kids that are hyper-criminalized for normal schoolyard behavior, for being late, for talking back to teachers, for schoolyard scraps, for fighting in the cafeteria, things that we've all seen when we were 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, schoolyard behavior. Brings armed police into your school, forces you to pushes you to waive your Miranda rights with a gun and macing students, macing children. Absolutely not okay. And putting them in cages, putting them in jail for things that are just normal schoolyard problems that the school should be able to handle. And that gets you charges, that gets you in the system, that gets you strikes so that you are on your way to prison later in life. We know that the moment you put handcuffs on a student in school, you double their chances of dropping out. You lower their incentive and their motivation to feel safe in a community where they would be nurtured. Instead, they feel surveilled and harassed and under threat, and they are.
How important was it for you to be a part of this project?
I mean, my thing is, my duty is to be a part of things and do things that are help to impact change in a positive way. I want to do it through my music. I want to do it as an actor. I want to do it as a producer. This was a new avenue for me to do it as, but I have to do it. It's like, man, if you're given some gifts or platform or however you want to label it, and you got to do something with it. You got to do something that's like when I go around Baltimore, Chicago, Atlanta, Brooklyn, and see people that's hurting, people that need things, that means it's work to do. So I feel like I got to help do that work.
Let me ask you, because you're an artist as well. You know, Lil Wayne was on Undisputed, and he said that Skip Bayless asked him if racism still exists, and he said that he thought racism was gone, and he never actually he's in a bubble. He never actually experienced racism. What are your thoughts on that?
Well, I mean, look, Lil Wayne, he's telling it from his experience, but we can see racism existing when we look at our educational system and look at the poor areas. When you go through the south side of Chicago and see how people are living, that's an effect of racism. When you see men being shot down because somebody in a helicopter is saying he looks dangerous, that's racism. You know, when you see a candidate running for president saying the things that he's saying about different nationalities, not just blacks, that's racism, man. And I think, it's evident. Some people may not know that that's what these effects are like you could go in the hood and they might not be like, man, the reason why I ain't got money is because of racism. They may be like, man, we ain't, you know, they may have a different perspective on it, but it's the ultimate like seed of that is racism. So it's still alive. Ye said it years ago, racism alive, I feel it's still breathing.